This is the dawn of a new era in British karting. Over 550 drivers in 12 classes competing for victory over 18 race weekends. This is the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships.
Chris Whitton takes the flag. Going to be enough for
TKM's next champion.
To win again in TKM Extreme.
Affectionately referred to by drivers in the paddock as Formula One on a shoestring, KZ2 descends on the ultra-fast Fulbeck circuit and the 6 decades of history that go with it. One driver in the field experiences the high intensity of the category, both here and in continental Europe. We spoke to Hannah Lang as she continues her strong 2019 season.
Currently competing in the World Championships this year, the German Championships, the European Championships and the WSK. We've made positions every time, making the finals into the top 30 out of hundreds of drivers, so it's going really well for us this year. So I quite like this circuit. I come here testing. It's a good track to learn at, it's a good track to get around. If you can get around here, that's it, you're set for most tracks. At the end of the season, I'm hoping for top 5 really. I think if we can get in the top 5, that's going to be a good goal for us coming back here.
Time to get underway for the KZ2 second final of the day. Dan Kelly taking the win in the earlier race, and he starts pole position for this one. Adam Glier alongside him on the front row from Shane Daly and Scott Allen. Glenister, Murphy, Cannon, Rusling, Tom Longfield and Lee Ward round out the top 10. Our onboard camera comes from Hannah Lang, and it's going to be a very interesting race this one. Cooler conditions than earlier on, and that means we might see some faster lap times. The red lights are on, wait for it. Now they're out and we're racing in KZ2. Fast start from Adam Glier. Looks as though he's made the launch into the lead. Scott Allen bogs down. We're on board with Hannah Lang down to the first chicane, tucking in behind the 17 of Tom Longfield as they go through the first hairpin and now powering up the gears. Third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear through the curves and now into the chicane as Adam Glier tucks his way through the first hairpin. Looks like there's some fisticuffs further back. That's the 24 in trouble. That's Ashley Lewis on the Rush Performance kart. Kungu Kamau, the Kenyan driver, has gone off there and there's a replay. Oh, that's big problems. That's the 44. That is Adam Rusling. He's gone off there colliding with Tom Longfield. So a disaster already as we go back on board with Hannah Lang. She's tucked in behind Lee Ward as they complete the lap. There is Rusling. His race is over. That is an absolute disaster. And Ashley Lewis, unfortunately, has incurred the wrath of the stewards. A 10-second penalty. That's got to be for coming across the first chicane. Unfortunately, that is an automatic 10-second penalty, whether you are to blame for the incident or not. There is Kungu Kamau. The Kenyan is beached on the top of the tyre barriers at the chicane, so clearly he's had some problems. Adam Glier, though, no problem at all. He runs in front of Dan Kelly, leading the race comfortably, and it's all going beautifully well out in front for Adam Glier. So it's a very easy start to the race then for Glier in front of Dan Kelly. Then it is James Glenister, the 77 in front of Ireland's Shane Daly. Is there going to be a run through from Glenister? Oh, he had a good go, and up the inside that's Scott Allen. He makes the lunge on Shane Daly and gets through into 4th position. So for Adam Glier, it's all fine and dandy. He leads comfortably from Kelly, Glenister, Shane Daly and Scott Allen. Although Scott Allen has now got back through into that 4th position, as we mentioned, of course. So now the battle for 6th place raging. That's Miles Murphy in front of Ryan Cannon. We're back on board with Hannah Lang as she chases after the 9 of Lee Ward. Up to the boots, through that sweeper. A very tricky part of the course to get right. These drivers are still battling away. Now down the main straight once again. 3 laps completed and Adam Glier has already stepped up a gap of very nearly a second to Dan Kelly. Glenister is being caught by Scott Allen as Hannah Lang is trying to shake off the 66 of Matt Sherwin. And into the braking zone, that is in the thick of the battle. Daniel Gould, the privateer, trying to get himself into the mix as well as he tucks in behind the 5 of Leon Hilliard. Back on board with Hannah Lang. Scott Allen sets the fastest lap of the race through the square left. And there is Adam Glier leading comfortably as Scott Allen has now tightened up in 4th position behind the likes of Dan Kelly and James Glenister. There's some really exciting battles in the early stages. Looks as though there's a slight blip on the timing screen there, you can see to the left side, but it does correct itself pretty quickly. The gap is down to 0.6 of a second already as Adam Glier is being caught now by Kelly and Glenister, with Scott Allen giving them plenty of hassle all the way down to the chicane. You've got to use a little bit of curve. You've got to be very careful and delicate, but Adam Glier is being caught. Look how quickly they're catching Adam Glier. He's going to have a world of problems if he can't get away from them He's been having a bit of a lacklustre lap or two, and that has definitely brought the field closer to him. Look, there is Dan Kelly with Glenister and Scott Allen in tow. That gap that was a second is now down to less than 2/10 of a second as they come across the line. Adam Glier still holds the lead of the race. Can Dan Kelly go for it? He has a little bit of a think about it on the inside. Glenister chops across on Scott Allen. Meanwhile, for 5th position, we've got Shane Daly running in front of Miles Murphy and Ryan Cannon. Up to 8th has come Hannah Lang. She's made the move then on the 9 of Lee Ward. Sherwin in 10th place. Then it is the number 10 of Lee Hasler. And then it is Leon Hilliard in 12th position in front of Dan Gould. 47 is next, that's Ryan Dones. And then Matteo Zanetti, who was so strong in the early phase of the weekend, had some big moments as he charged his way through in qualifying. I think it was P3 overall. And the 45 in there as well, that's Nicholas Jenkins. Problems though in the early stages. We already, as we've mentioned, we've already lost a couple of drivers from the fray, and that is Tom Longfield, Kungu Kamau. Those two have retired, unfortunately, so that means we've got the 24 other competitors still remaining. Back on board with Hannah Lang. The intensity and energy of these KZ2 karts, very vivid as she picks her way through the chicane. Having a great season. The only driver in the field who has also raced in the FIA European KZ2 Championship as well. And hopefully she'll be at the World Finals weekend for KZ, which is when the International KZ2 Super Cup weekend takes place at Lonato. We're on board with Hannah Lang out of the final corner. Up through the gears. Great to ride on board with her as she ploughs her way to the first hairpin. It's a very controlled weekend for Hannah Lang. She's made big strides forward this time out. And it's great to see how far she's come. Now, Adam Glier still hanging on in front of these three. We've got a replay. Oh, that's Greg Dickin. That is Greg Dickens, I think, and Greg Dickens has got off there, so a big problem. And he's got going again, but that has definitely held up Greg Dickens, something chronic. So a big problem there now. Is he going to be able to return to race action, or will he just bring it straight back to the pits? We'll have to double check, but so far, Adam Glier leads as they go into lap 9 from Dan Kelly, James Glenister and Scott Allen. And again, Dan Kelly has a little bit of a look into the first hairpin, trying to see if there is a gap or not. Adam Glier still hanging on to the advantage for the moment in front of Dan Kelly. James Glenister still tight in 3rd position. Scott Allen is staying with them in P4 as they run through. Scott Allen just falling off the back a tiny bit, not by much though. He's still very much in the mix as he checks over his right shoulder just to see how far back Shane Daly is. And he runs in 5th position, competitively caught Dan Kelly. Definitely getting on with this now as he hustles in behind Adam Glier. They come down the main straight once again, and this is going to be a very tight battle for the lead of the race. And you can see that there are still squabbles all the way through the midfield as well, as the drivers from the front end of the field are battling it out, but also in the mid-pack. Dan Kelly swarms around still behind Adam Glier and James Glenister. Scott Allen is a little further back now. Has Scott Allen got a bit of a problem developing? He's certainly lost a few kart lengths. Either that or he's just saving his tyres and waiting for another opportunity a bit later on. So Adam Glier hanging on in front of Dan Kelly, and then James Glenister. Scott Allen is still hanging on in there in 4th position. Then it's Daly, Cannon, Murphy, Hannah Lang. Then it is the 99 of Sherwin. So Matt Sherwin running in, 66 I should say. He's looking at that upside down in my mind for some strange reason. They come through the first hairpin. That's Hannah Lang trying to hang on in front of the Sodi of Sherwin. And then it is Lee Ward and Lee Hasler as they battle in position as well. They are 10th and 11th in front of Matteo Zanetti, the Italian, who is in 12th position. Making his return to the world of karting, having gone into cars for a short period, and now he's back in the world of gearbox karts. And I was talking to him earlier this morning. He absolutely loves it. I asked him to describe KZ2 in 3 words. He said, really good racing. Well, that'll do the job, won't it? Hannah Lang through the final corner, still pushing hard down the main straight. And these top 3 have definitely checked out a little bit now to Scott Allen. Adam Glier trying to hang on still in front of Dan Kelly and James Glenister. They go through the chicane once again. We're at the halfway mark in the race, 7.5 minutes to go, and Adam Glier still has plenty to do to hold on in front of Dan Kelly and James Glenister. They are definitely going to be pushing all the way to the death as they continue to egg away from the rest of the field, and this is going to be little by little, isn't it, as Dan Kelly chips away at Adam Gleer's advantage. He's caught him, but he just doesn't seem to have the ability to run with him in close proximity to make an overtake, and that's the difficulty. Meanwhile, Hannah Lang is struggling now to hang on in front of Sherwin, Ward and Hasler. They are all battling away. That is Dan Gould chasing away from the 47 of Ryan Dones as they duel again for position. Back on board with Hannah Lang as Adam Gleer sets the new fastest lap of the race at 38.110. That's the 95 going through of Dan Arlott. A good battle going on behind them. That is the 5 leading the charge. That is the number 5 is Leon Hilliard, and he's currently battling with the 45 of Jenkins. Anderson Chilcott's in there. So too is the 15. That is Mark Stimson. Hannah Lang obviously trying to stay not as far on the curbs as you might wish in another category. You've got to be so delicate with these KZ2 carts. As again, Dan Kelly has a little bit of a look to the inside there of Adam Gleer. Down at the braking zone, here's Lang. Desperately trying to hang on in front of Sherwin, and these two are still dueling away for position as Adam Gleer runs in front of Kelly and Glenister. Where's Scott Allen? Where's Scott Allen gone? Scott Allen has disappeared from the fray. I think Scott Allen may have got a big problem. He's suddenly fallen away from the top 3. So Scott Allen has disappeared. He was in P4 behind these 3. There he is. I can just about make him out. He is broken down. He must have had an engine seize. That is such a shame, as Sherwin, you can see, has got through on Hannah Lang, but Scott Allen appears to be out of the race. He is absolutely devastated. A great opportunity to take the victory now long gone, and that is, well, absolutely terrible luck for Scott Allen. That really hampers his chance in the Drivers' Championship. As up the inside, that looked like it was going to be a move from Peter Brickcliffe. He was trying to get the move there on the inside of Stimson. Back on board with Hannah Lang. That's Sherwin directly in front of us as we try to make up the ground again. But this is not going to be easy for Hannah Lang. She's pushed very hard all weekend. She's been in the top 10 on tons of times all weekend long. That was 77. James Glenister trying to get back on it. There is Scott Allen. You can see him there, very frustrated. Indeed, he's up the inside. Glenister makes the move in the chicane and gets into second position. Nicely done then from Glenister. And he's just set the fastest lap in the process, so his statement of intent was fairly obvious there. Now that is Adam Rusling, the 44, running in front of our race leader, not Scott Allen, sorry, Adam Gleer. So Adam Gleer is going to need to get past the 44 of Adam Rusling fairly rapidly. But Rusling's, he's not even going to put up any problems at all. He just lets the top 3 go nice and neat. It was very sportsmanlike of Adam Rusling. Obviously, he had that trip into the barriers on lap 1, and he has decided to keep going. Here's the battle for 4th place, a little further back. Shane Daly hanging on. You can just see in the background Shane Daly in front of Ryan Cannon. The Irishman and the Scotsman battling away for 4th position. That's 2/3 of a pub joke, isn't it? Somewhere there's an Englishman up in front who'll join that little bar brawl. But Adam Gleer is leading the way from James Glenister and Dan Kelly. Hannah Lang, we're back on board with her as she runs towards the boot. Up in front, that is the 66 of Sherwin. A little bit of curb on the way into the left-hand part of that chicane, but not so much on the exit, because you've got to look after these carts. They're very delicate, they're very fragile. They have high attrition rates, the gearbox category, so you've got to be very gentle with them. You have to be ever so conservative on the brakes, on the tyres as well, because they are pushed absolutely to the limit, these LeConte tyres. And obviously the very high attrition rate definitely makes things tricky, as we've seen Scott Allen battling for the victory, having to pull off the circuit and retire. Adam Gleer is just hanging on to it. Back on board with Hannah Lang. She's pushing hard now, up towards the boot again. Meanwhile, the race leader, Adam Gleer, has got a decent purchase on James Glenister. Glenister overshoots! And that's Kelly. He's going to get alongside, is he? Well, James Glenister's got to keep on the throttle. They're going to go side by side again. Oh, good recovery from Glenister. That was close. He nearly lost second position there, just overshot by a metre or so into the braking zone of the first corner, and that was Dan Kelly's invitation to get back through. And Kelly did make a brief appearance in second position, but James Glenister was more than the measure, and I'm afraid that mistake for James Glenister has pretty much cost him any chances he might have had of a race victory there. So out in front, it's Adam Gleer. He goes through the first hairpin, no problem at all. James Glenister in second from Dan Kelly. Those two continue to battle away. And into the braking zone for the chicane. Lovely bit of driving from Adam Gleer as he continues to hang on through the square left and up towards the hairpin in the second sector. And who's that here having some difficulties? That's Oliver Gemmell. Oliver Gemmell appears to be a little lackluster in terms of speed. I wonder if Gemmell's got a mechanical problem, because he's definitely faster than his pace is currently able to show. And I would really hope he's not going to join the likes of Longfield, Kamal, Dickens, and now, of course, Scott Allen on the sidelines. Greg Dickens, you saw him go off earlier and rejoin. He only made it as far as returning to the pits, I'm afraid to say. So 4 retirements from the race then, as the drivers battle for position. So Adam Glier leads the way. There's only a minute and a half or so to go in the race. So when that checkered flag will come down in approximately 2 minutes or so, we will find out who our next final winner is. Last time out at Rissington, of course, it was the Italian Fabio Federer. He's not here, so Adam Glier has got the opportunity to go for that position. A minute and a half to go. Down the main straight. Pushing hard. And closing up on Oliver Gemmell to lap him, but Adam Glier is definitely in his own zone at the moment, isn't he? He's not pushing very hard indeed. Hannah Lang is on board again as they charge down the main straight. This is going to be an interesting one for the finish of the race. Can Hannah Lang get back on terms with Sherwin? They go through the square left. Adam Glier still leading the race comfortably. A minute to go. Down to the main straight they will come again, and Adam Glier, well, he's done 20, this is his 22nd lap of racing. He's catching Gemmell pretty hard at the moment as they continue to battle away. Down into the breakings over the hairpin, turning into the right-hander, back on the power again, and this is going to be a really exciting battle. Really, really good stuff as they come off the hairpin. Is that another opportunity for Kelly to get through? Oh, he's not quite made it. Oh, sorry, I think that's the battle between Daly and Cannon, isn't it? And then it's Murphy, who's there in 6th position. Then we look back, that's Sherwin, who is being caught again by Hannah Lang. She's doing her best to move forward. Matteo Zanetti, meanwhile, has been creeping up through the order rapidly. He's now into 9th position. So we're back on board with Hannah Lang as we close up on the 2 guys in front. Adam Glier has got 2 laps to go across the line with 13 seconds remaining on the clock. So Adam Glier is just hanging on to things in the lead of this race. Then it is James Glenister from Dan Kelly, still giving him loads of hassle. And a long, long way back, that's Shane Daly, a good 7 seconds behind the top 3, still being pushed by Ryan Cannon. Then it's Murphy, here's Sherwin, and then Hannah Lang, that's Matteo Zanetti, the number 3, and then the 10, in 10th, that's Lee Hasler. Some good battles so far in this race then, but as you can see, time has run down to 0, and it's all about this man hanging on for the last lap. He will come through the right-hander into the final left corner, and now he just has the last lap to complete here. And this is going to be an absolutely brilliant moment for Adam Glier. In terms of the championship fight, this is crucial because this is going to give him the lead of the championship with the 2nd place he got from the earlier final. Coupled with this win and his solid consistency at Rissington, this is going to put Adam Glier in the lead of the championship as the drivers are trying one final trick or two. Zanetti putting a lot of pressure on Hannah Lang in this final lap of the race. Is she going to be able to hang on in front of the Italian? But out in front, Adam Glier is going to come through the final couple of corners. An initial challenge early on from Kelly, Glenister and Allen. But Adam Glier has done enough out of the final turn. Adam Glier takes the win here at Fulbeck. Brilliant performance in KZ2. He looks back and realises just how big the gap is back to James Glenister and Dan Kelly. A lovely, lovely job in this race. Shane Daly is in 4th in front of Ryan Cannon with Murphy, Sherwin, Lang and Zanetti, and Hasler just picking up that 10th place finish. All I can think though is that, well, that was an opportunity lost for Scott Allen. He was running so well all weekend. He had the pace to be a race winner, and the mechanical problems unfortunately got in the way of what could have been a very impressive result. Adam Glier though takes the win, as you can see, 25 laps of racing around Fulbeck, and he gets the win in front of James Glenister and Dan Kelly. Shane Daly and Ryan Cannon in the top 5. From Miles Murphy, Matt Sherwin, Hannah Lang and Matteo Zanetti. From Lee Hasler, Lee Ward and Ryan Dones. Then it is Dan Arlott who battles his way into the midfield, just in behind Dan Gould in fact. Nicholas Jenkins and Anderson Chilcott, Leon Hilliard and Peter Brickcliffe, Mark Stimson, Ashley Lewis and Adam Rustling. From Oliver Gemmell, Scott Allen and Greg Dickens. But what a victory for our number 2, Adam Glier. Adam Glier picks up the mantle for the championship fight, pushed all the way by James Glenister and Dan Kelly. But with only 2 weekends to go and a few drivers having difficult weekends, the battle is far from over.